Hello, my name's Damien, and today we're going to cover IELTS Writing Task 2, in particular the band descriptors. We're going to start at a band 1 and work our way all the way through to a band 9. For each band, I have summarized what's required, and then I've also written a sample essay for you. The purpose of this video is so you can have a better understanding of where your writing is currently at and what you need to do to get to the next level. All right, let's jump straight into it. If you're currently studying IELTS, you can probably skip the first 3 bandings. There's really not too much to learn in the first 3 bandings, but I thought I would include them in the video just so we cover all of the bandings. So let's get into it. The essay question we're going to use, or the prompt, will be the same for all of the bandings. And you'll also notice that a lot of the ideas are the same. More often than not, students don't achieve the banding that they are after, not because of a lack of ideas, but more so because of the execution when it comes to their writing. So the question we're going to use today is: some believe that students should begin learning a language very early in school, while others think the subject should be taught later. Discuss both sides and give your opinion. I won't break down the question. We can do that in another video where we tackle, or we look at how to tackle different types of questions. So band 1 is really pretty straightforward. To get a band 1, you just need to write less than 20 words. Doesn't really matter if the words are on topic or off topic. Write more than 20 words and you're good to go. So with the sample essay, you could quite literally put anything here. I just decided to write a simple sentence, but as long as it's under 20 words, you're going to be on a band 1. Obviously, no one's aiming for that, so you can feel rest assured if you do write more than 20 words, you won't be getting a band 1. Okay, so for a band 2, very often it's going to have very little relevance, or the whole topic is going to be off topic altogether, and you're just going to use the same words. Also, it's likely to be very short. I'm not going to read out every single sample essay. If you want to pause the sample essays and have a read, you can do so. But as I previously mentioned in the video, the first 3 bandings, there's really not that much to learn. So I'm just going to speed through them, and then we'll take a bit more time when we get to the higher bandings. For a band 3, you have no clear position, your paragraphing is poor, and your length is lacking. When it says no clear position, it means that the reader can't quite tell which side of the argument you are on. So when you have these essays which say that you need to state your opinion, you need to make sure that you do, and do so more than once, right? So if we look at the sample essay, again here, if you want to pause and have a read at what a band 3 would look like, you're more than welcome to do so, although the chances are that you're probably past the band 3 already, and it's better you start looking at band 4 and above. Okay, a band 4. This is when it starts to get a little bit more interesting. So if you have written a band 4, it's likely that you've misunderstood the prompt and you have poor formatting. Poor formatting means that the order of your words and your paragraphs don't really make logical sense. And misunderstanding the question is, let's say, for example, this question is about learning languages. And let's say you decide to write about something which is similar, maybe learning subjects at school. So it's kind of right, but it's a bit off topic because it's specifically about learning languages early rather than later in life. Of course, your ideas at a band 4 are going to be unclear, lack support, and more often than not, instead of stating new ideas, you're just repeating the same ideas. Repetition here is not necessarily in regards to using the same words, but it's repeating the same point or the same idea. So from band 4 onwards, I've added in a key to every sample essay. And a very good exercise that you can do is you can pause the video here, look at the key, and identify why it is wrong, right? So the words in red are wrong, so that means you'd have to change the sentence or change those words for it to make sense. And the words in blue are repetition. Repetition in this key or in the following keys as well is going to mean one of two things. Either that you're saying the same idea again, or you're simply using the same words over and over. So if you would like to pause from here onwards, from a 4 to an 8, identify the wrong parts of the essays and try to improve them, it should really give you a good understanding of what you need to do to make sure you don't write a band 4. Okay, for a band 5, your main ideas are good, so you are describing them in a decent way. Quite often your opening sentences are going to be quite strong, but the problem comes after that. So you lack development and you have a lot of mistakes more often than not in your writing, and you're using vocabulary correctly, but you're using the same words again and again. So if you look at this band 5 essay, you'll see there's not really too much wrong with it, but it is really repetitive. The same things are just being said again and again. So again, if you would like to pause the video, have a look at what is being repeated, and you can think of alternatives, ways to make sure that when you write, you don't write something like this. Here we get to a band 6, and this is where I believe most students sit, roughly at about a band 6. And a band 6 is where the essays start to get quite good, right? So the main points are addressed, you have an appropriate format, but sometimes your points are unclear or repetitive. Your vocabulary is clear, but limited, and maybe there's some mistakes in there. And you are now using a variety of sentences. So they're not all simple sentences, you have some complex ones in there. So generally speaking, the biggest problems that we have with band 6 essays is the lack of development. So we have good ideas and we fail really to explain those ideas or give relevant examples. Again, you can have a pause. You'll see there's not really that much wrong with this essay. The thing why it isn't at a higher banding is not because what is written is wrong, it's because there needs to be more written in terms of development. Okay, for a band 7. So now you've got a good to great essay, right? The main ideas are addressed, it's developed, but maybe it's lacking a bit of support. So it needs to be developed further. Your essay is logical throughout with some minor mistakes. Your word choice is flexible and accurate with some advanced vocabulary or phrases. And your grammar is varied with a few mistakes. Now, the reason why I've capitalized the word some here, I see this happening a lot with an array of students where they have this great vocabulary range and they feel like they have to force complex words into their essays. And when we look at the criteria here, to hit a band 7, you only need some advanced vocabulary. So what I see is people trying to force words in and then the sentence doesn't really make sense. And when you start losing sense from your sentences, it becomes illogical. And then you're slipping right down into that band 5 because it's not really making too much sense. So you don't have to use a lot of advanced vocabulary, just some, to get a band 7. So if you are consistently using words wrong, I would advise that you only use the words that you are comfortable with, because it's much better to make sense than it is to make big mistakes by using the wrong words or by trying to use fancy words. So as you'll see with the band 7 essay, There's very little that is wrong with it, and there's just a little bit of repetition. But now we have two more areas that we can look at within the key that I've added. And those two areas are needs improvement and off topic. So let's start with needs improvement. So with the needs improvement, it means that what's written is okay, but realistically, if we want to explore our ideas in depth and develop them, it needs to be more, or we need a better word choice, really. And off topic means that you've kind of got the right idea, but it's not really relevant to what you were saying. It would have been better just to take this out or think of a different point. Again, as I've mentioned many times already, is I advise that you pause the video, the bits that are highlighted, try to understand them and try to fix them, and you'll be able to see where you're at. Okay, Band 8. Band 8 is obviously a fantastic score. I'm not sure that many learners know this, but if you want to be an IELTS examiner, a Band 8 is what you need to get. So writing to a Band 8 or even above a Band 8 is a fantastic result. So to summarize it, it is a clear and appropriate position that is supported, logical and easy to follow. A wide range of vocabulary and grammar structures are used skillfully with minimal errors. So with the sample essay here, you can see that I deliberately didn't make very many mistakes, and that's because you can't, right? If you are aiming for a Band 8, you don't need to have a flawless essay, but it needs to be great. It needs to be really, really good. And there's just not that much room for error. So take a read. If you are aiming for a Band 8 or higher, and you are currently at a Band 7, then it is beneficial to look at these higher bandings. But if you are sitting at a Band 5 or a 6, it really doesn't help you that much to look at the higher bandings, because if you can understand them, that's great. It shows that you have great reading comprehension, but it's not necessarily going to help you write to a higher level. It's much better to take it one banding at a time. So the time it would take to go from a Band 5 to a Band 8, learning from Band 8 would be a very long time. But going from a Band 5 to a Band 6 is much more manageable. And then a Band 6 to a Band 7, again, very manageable, and so on and so forth. So just a little caveat there, if you are this far in the video and you are looking at Band 8, I wouldn't necessarily use them as a tool for studying. I would take it one step at a time. Band 9, the holy grail of writing. So the prompt is developed, supported, and explored in depth with skillful paragraphs, which are effortless to follow. Vocabulary needs to be flexible, precise, natural, and sophisticated. A wide range of structures with appropriate grammar and punctuation. They're not asking for much, are they? So obviously, obtaining a Band 9 would be a phenomenal feat for anybody. And if you are looking at Band 9 samples, I'd hope that your writing is already at a Band 8, because as I mentioned in the previous band descriptor, if you can read and understand a Band 9, fantastic, great. That shows your reading ability more so than your writing ability. So do take it one step at a time. I'll show you the Band 9 that I wrote for this essay. Now, whether or not I'd be able to write this in a 40-minute time period in an exam condition is another story, but you're more than welcome to have a look at my understanding of what a Band 9 looks like. Now, I hope you found the video helpful. It is the type of video where you should pause it where you think you currently are. And the way that I would use this video to get better is I would look at my own writing, and then I would compare it to the band samples that are here and have a look at where you currently are. I will create another video in the future which really goes into detail on how you develop your writing. I do think a lot of people struggle doing this by themselves without any help. So hopefully I can help you in that regard. Well, thank you for watching the video, and goodbye.